talk about how to fight with a stick, for self-defense using the 18-inch Okinawan or Japanese tanbo, which is this dowel rod that you can buy. You can cut a 36-inch dowel rod in half. This one is 1.25 inches. It's made out of oak. You can get these very inexpensively at any do-it-yourself store, hardware store, and then you can make your own. Or if you want one of mine, I make these and ship out a lot of these during the year. I put a link in the description below. First thing you're gonna see are different ways to hold it. I want you to hold first in either hand. You're gonna fight with both hands, and you're gonna have some coming out of the top of your hand. Ahoy, Studer, good to see you. It's good to see you. This point here makes it harder for him to grab while allowing you still to have a striking surface. The first thing you're gonna see, you hold it like this, you can come straight in, smashing him into the nose, the teeth, the eyes, the throat, the solar plexus. Just as straightforward by turning your shoulders and hips. Think of a straight punch coming in to stop him from coming in aggressively trying to hurt you. This is for self-defense. He's trying to take your life, your freedom, your dignity. You're gonna stop him by using violence against his violence. So we're using this part here. Kimwell's here from the Philippines. Hello, Kimwell. You're gonna smash straight in. That's your first technique. Holding it like this also allows you to protect your arm in case he happens to have something like this. He's got a bladed weapon. He's slashing or stabbing and you can't get away. If you can get away, get away. If you can run, run. As soon as you see that blade or before it even becomes an issue. But if it doesn't, and you happen to have the stick with you, something you can carry in a bag, in a backpack, you can carry it in your hand. If anybody asks you, you're just carrying it for a project at the house. You hold it this way, you can stop the attack and protect all that flesh. Leader, good to see you. It's good to see you here. True Human Experiences here. Welcome from South Africa. So you're holding it here. You have a striking motion here. I want you to think about also just turning your shoulders and hips, using this big lever from your spine coming all the way out to your arm. You've got this little piece of the stick sticking forward. You're gonna smash that into his solar or his temple, his ear, maybe into his neck. Maybe you're sitting, he's taller. You can swing it, smashing into his ribs, smashing into that nerve in the thigh. But this simple smashing motion here, from here, also swinging it straight up. You want coming up under his chin, make him bite his tongue off, or coming up into his throat, coming up into his body, into that solar plexus, but just swinging straight up almost like an uppercut. So you have straight punch, hook punch, uppercut. You can think of it in terms of that way. And of course, blocking here. You can also bring your hand forward, hit him once here, and then also turn your wrist. Hello, Doug. Doug's here. It's good to see you, Doug. And then smash using the length of the stick across the side of his face, coming forward this way very quickly. That also works coming up this way as well. You can also take it and stab or jab with it. Of course, it's not pointed, but you can do a lot of damage smashing into his face. Think about coming straight down over the top, vertically in a strike into the soft tissue of his body or into the face. So you have straight, hook, uppercut, twisting that wrist out, blocking here. He's got a heavy tool, like he's swinging a baseball bat, or he's swinging one of those expandable batons. He's swinging a golf club at you. You can bring your other hand to the back here. True Human Experiences, you can do the same thing with the collie sticks. That is true. The collie stick's a little bit longer. The general rule of the short self-defense stick, the tanbo. Merrick is here from Quebec. Welcome, Merrick. Is from the middle finger to about the bend in your elbow. That's about how long these are. You can make yours as long as you want. If you want one of mine, the link is in the description. Mine come in 18 inches, 1.25 inches. I sand it really well, and I soak this for days in mineral oil, butcher block oil, or any good food grade oil that's not going to have heavy metals in it that'll leak into your skin. But that oil makes it stronger, and it makes it extremely heavy when you use it for self-defense. So we're holding it here first, this blocking motion with two hands protecting your head, You can come across your body. He's coming in with a punch. You can smash using that hard piece of oak, breaking his bone. As I said, you can come forward this way. And again, one of the features of holding it here, one of the benefits is it's harder for him to rip it out of your hand if you were to grab hold of it. You can also use this part to smash the guy coming up behind you, turning, smashing, almost like you did a back fist with elbow strike. It's a good way to knock somebody out who's right behind you. This case, you have the stick here, smashing into his head. Someone were grabbing you from behind, choking your neck, turning your whole body and smashing him, knocks his hands off of you, as long as you bring your elbow higher than his arms. But you're turning here, smashing with that. That gives you a little bit more reach, a reach advantage. Now the next thing in this position is you can simply turn it, getting it into two hands, making it a much stronger grip, and smash it into the teeth or the nose or into his eyes and back him out of your face using that split grip where one palm is up, one palm is down. Now from this position, I'm gonna slide it up and show you here. You're still gonna wanna choke down a little bit and have a little bit of that stick from your Okinawan Tanbo, your short fighting stick. This is how to fight with sticks for beginners, how to fight with a stick for self-defense for beginners. You have a little bit of the hand, or a little bit of the stick coming out of the bottom of the hand. That's to smash his teeth down his throat. From this position, coming forward here as a reverse strike, striking it this way. Again, that's similar to a back fist where you're smashing someone in the teeth, or a hammer fist where you're breaking his jaw, or that reverse elbow. Welcome, Joe. Joe just became a virtual student. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for joining. Holding it here, you can see I still have a little bit of oil there. I just took this one out of the oil. I made this for somebody. So smashing here into his ribs. Again, smashing the person behind you, smashing down this way, making him let go, get out of your face, get off your body, stop touching you. It's your right for self-defense. Holding in this position, you have this basic diagonal strike. Always practice fighting in front of your body with the stick, keeping it coming from your shoulder and not from out here. If it's out here, he closes that distance, your arm wraps around him. You don't have an effective strike. Tony, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Tony's here. Thanksgiving's coming up in the next few days. I'm thankful for you guys being here training with me today. Coming off that shoulder, always follow through and practice. Practice with both hands so that you can hit evenly with both hands coming off of your shoulders. Think of a V or an X. So you have this diagonal and you have this diagonal. Just noticed my good farmer's tan. You can see I'm outside in the sun too much. So I'm beet red for anywhere that my shirt doesn't cover. Sorry, I got distracted. I thought it was funny. Coming off the shoulder, striking through temple, jaw, neck. The question you ask yourself is, what can you remove or destroy for self-defense? It comes from Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. It's the best book on self-defense. But it's violence against violence. He's trying to take your life, your dignity, your freedom. God gives you the right of self-defense. You're using that with this concept, these strategies, these principles of self-defense, which after situation awareness is always first, see what's happening around you. But number two, get to a better position. Put the stick between you and the threat. Number three, ask yourself, what can you remove or destroy? What can you take away from him? His ability to see, his ability to breathe temporarily, permanently, his ability to be awake, right? Either you knock him out, striking the temple, striking the forehead, coming down on top, maybe breaking that jaw, hitting into the neck where there are all these nerves. It's a nerve process. You hit that, the blood flushes out of his brain, he falls to the ground. Maybe he's reaching and you break his hand. You take away the ability for him to strike you or thrust at you or choke you or stab you or slash you. And you're breaking that wrist, you're breaking the forearm, you're breaking the elbow, you're breaking the hand, knocking the knife out of his hand. So from here, slashing motion, striking coming through at this diagonal and this one. There's your X. And then you practice it faster and faster and again, and then you get it into the other hand And I think about 30 seconds per side. Come back to the first one. Horizontal strikes, palm facing up, so when it runs into his face, it doesn't pop out of your hand. If you're holding it like this, you run into his body, your fingers peel off, palm up, breaking his face for self-defense. Coming through, smashing the hands, breaking the ribs, striking the legs with your short self-defense stick. This is how you fight with a stick for self-defense for beginners, using the tanbo. And you might not have this with you. You might train with this in your garage like I'm doing. And then I found yesterday, I was walking the perimeter where I work. It was a rod of metal. It was the exact, I measured it, fingertip to elbow, exact same length. And it came off of, they were replacing the light poles, like from wood to cement. And they left it. You know, no one seems to clean up after themselves anymore. So I have this big hunkin' piece of metal. It's a giant screw in my car that weighs more than this. Rebellion's here from Vienna, Australia. Thanks, Rebellion, for being here. Rebellion says, great video, thanks. So I have in my environment where I work, probably where you work, where you go to school, where you live, you have lots of sticks. They don't necessarily have to be this piece of wood that you carry with you, but you sense a threat, you feel a threat. You see the guy out there walking around, slashing innocent people, stabbing construction workers and people in front of the United Nations with a knife. There was a woman this week, she went after a 3-year-old boy. The dad covered his baby up, and the woman broke her knife inside the guy. And then someone knocked her away, she ran off. It's just happening everywhere. And if you're concerned about something like that, you can carry this with you, right? Just throw it in your hand. And it's not as effective. And I have mine on me right now. I'll show you just the tip of it. I always carry it when I'm on the weekends going out and about. So I'll just show you. I personally believe in that, and I'm trained. I have a lot of training in utilizing that self-defense tool. But you might be in an area where you can't carry it. You might travel to a city for work and you can't carry that. Or you might be in an area where they've taken away your right, and then the criminals are able to bring in whatever they want. But you can carry a stick, or you can learn how to fight with a stick and pick up a stick and defend yourself. So we have these diagonal strikes, we have these horizontal strikes, and a vertical strike coming down straight on top of his head, on top of the wrist, into his clavicle, breaking his shoulder. Maybe you're sitting, coming straight forward and hitting whatever you can coming down his body. True Human Experiences asked when I opened the new dojo, got to get this hip replaced first. I have a date now. It's in the beginning of the year. As soon as that's done and I'm healed up, I'm already looking. So soon, it's coming soon. Then we'll get out of the garage. Better acoustics, prettier environment. But you train where you are. Train in the garage. Right now, we all live in the virtual dojo. We're all training together. And I just happen to be physically in a garage, but you can train anywhere. That's the beauty about self-defense. There don't have to be rules of a traditional martial arts school. You don't need mats. You don't need a flag on the wall everybody bows to. You don't need to call them sensei, guru, sabum, guangzhang, dosa, whatever you want to call, guru. I think I said that one. Sifu, that's the one I was missing. You don't have to call anybody a fancy title. You just learn how to defend yourself. Use practical techniques that work. So we have these strikes coming through. You can also grab it with the other hand and jab, coming straight into his face. Becomes very powerful. Bending your knees, jabbing up into his solar plexus, into the throat, into the face. Just swinging, using your arms. You create so much leverage coming up. And then when you bend your knees before you do that, you're gonna knock him back, get him out of there, get him out of your face for self-defense. You can hit him so hard in his solar plexus, knock his wind out. You can even crush that cartilage that's in there and put him on the ground until law enforcement comes, scoops him up and takes him away. You're defending yourself, it's your right, using this stick. Holding it in two hands, you can also turn and smash, coming through his face, this hard piece of oak against soft tissue, his nose, his teeth, his jaw, his eyes. If he's wearing glasses, break his glasses into his face, back him up, box his ears, smash him with the side, and then twisting, Irish stick fighting style. It's the wrist that adds that quick, fast, effective flicking technique, smashing and distracting and stopping him from getting any closer. Coming in, and you use your hand as a backstop to increase, you don't miss it like that, increase the speed of your strike. You're turning your shoulders, turning your hips. That increases your reach. When you do that, it also increases the power and the explosiveness of the technique. From here, smash, and then you can create tension here, pushing pressure with the backhand, releasing the backhand, smashing down over the top of his head. So striking and then coming down, holding for a second, and then releasing like a rubber band, hitting so much harder. Just holding like two hands. Adam Lucas says, good to see you. Good to see you too, Adam. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everybody for being here, by the way, if I missed you. It's only because I can't read that fast. But I really appreciate you all for being here. But those are just some of the ways. As a beginner, you have to think about, first, where are you gonna hold it? You're gonna hold it here, making it harder for him to grab and take away. And then it kind of hides it a little bit. Stick it up a jacket. You're walking down the street. It's cold where you live, maybe. It's a little colder here, but it's like 60. That doesn't really count. It can get 30. I'm not putting on a jacket. Not in Florida. I refuse. But if I went up north, I gotta put on my jacket. Slide that in. Now it just looks like you have a little stick in your hand. Thrusting, swinging, coming up under the chin, using the long side. If you were to pull it out of your jacket, so that it's on the outside, twisting, smashing here, smashing up, smashing down. Hello, G. Carlton, good morning, it's good to see you. G. Carlton says, loves self-defense. G. Carlton also said he notices that the umbrellas that have the crook can also be used, same way you use your cane, and that's absolutely right. Just make sure we have a whole bunch of new umbrellas at my work, and they're the cheapest, thinnest umbrellas I've ever seen. You could not defend yourself with those. The one that I have in the back of my car, made by Uzi, is unbreakable. And there's another company that's called Self-Defense Umbrella. Theirs are a little bit more expensive. They're unbreakable too, pretty much. But a really good, solid umbrella, like that you would get for golf or something like that, something that you would invest in. And they're not that expensive, 40, 50 bucks. They make them pretty solid. You can use that to fight with. So as a beginner, how to fight with a stick for self-defense for beginners, using the short Japanese Okinawan tanbo. I say Japanese or Okinawan because it comes from that martial art, or from martial arts in that part of the world. And you might study the Japanese style, you might study Okinawan style, but short sticks are in a lot of martial arts. Studer, thanks so much for that super chat. Koreans have a short stick. It's actually shorter than this, called a danbong. They drill a hole here. There's a little rope that goes there, wraps around your thumb into your hand, and then they actually take it off and swing it like a one stick nunchuck, like a half a nunchuck. And then they whip it back around. But it's just a short stick. You can fight with any short stick. Alita, thank you so much for your super sticker. True Human Experience, what stick is next? The Joe walking stick is next on my list to talk about. This whole series is what sticks work, what short sticks can you defend yourself with, or what kind of sticks. Short stick, long stick, super short, the Yawara, super long, the bow, and everything in the middle, including the painter's pole, including, I'm gonna do a whole video on all the sticks that I find in my environment that you might have in your environment that we can fight with. I've been walking around at work, when I go to stores. We can go to stores, there's so many sticks. We were just walking an outdoor mall, had lunch. There were sticks all over the restaurants. There were sticks everywhere that, and I might be the only one thinking about it. I don't think my wife and my kids are thinking about it, but that's my job. My job is self-defense. Your job is self-defense. Defend yourself, defend your family if you need to. And so what will you fight with? You might not always need to fight with this. Maybe this is a better choice. You might be in an area where you can't carry this. Most places in the world you can't carry. But they they get kitchen knives. You can't outlaw all the kitchen knives. And then people are going around. There was another guy, went to Target, it's about a month ago, goes to the Target store, goes to the kitchen section, asks the woman, can I get a set of those kitchen knives? She brings them out from the back because they weren't in the front. She starts to hand them to her. He smashes her in the face with his fist, knocks her to the ground, takes the knives, runs down the street to a police department, pushes the button to call a police officer out, and then has his hand in his jacket. The police officer is saying, you know, I don't feel comfortable with your hand in your jacket. What are you doing? He's like, you don't feel comfortable? You don't feel, and he brings it out and starts slashing the guy and chases him. And luckily, the cop was able to finally create some distance and then command, and the guy wouldn't stop. He kept coming after him, and he ended him. That was the end of that guy with the knife. But the point is, crazy people, it's just like day after day after day, we're seeing all these crazy stories, people in knives, different areas. So as a beginner, you might want to fight like this. So many advantages to this, but you also want to learn how to fight like this. Holding it here, knowing you're going to smash with this end. You're going to smash in the reverse using this end. You can smash coming down this one, coming back, turning this way, smashing the person behind you. Someone comes up behind you and they're grabbing you and they're hitting you in the back of the head, and you stumble a little bit, and then you're able to take this, and it's just a force multiplier. You take what God gave you naturally, your body, your arms, and then you're using leverage, mechanical force, mechanical leverage, swinging from your shoulder through your spine, all the muscles in your body engaged, and then all that force, all that energy going into his private parts, into the side of his neck, into his forehead, into his temple. And then you have these basic angular strikes, horizontal strikes, vertical strikes, and then twisting, you're just flicking with the wrist, Irish stick fighting style. You can also, this is more, you'll see this in the Korean style, using your whole hand to accelerate the strike. So it's being pulled in here while you're turning your shoulders and hips, while you're almost like throwing a ball, coming forward and smashing. Adam asks, what are the thoughts on phone cases with tasers and some pepper spray installed? My only concern with all of these gimmicks, like there's it looks like a billy club, with a light on the end, and it's got a taser. Now they have the tasers in the phone cases. I think that those don't generate enough electricity to freeze somebody up. Like when you have an actual taser brand taser that the law enforcement carries and that you can get as a civilian, there's a version of it. But law enforcement, guys I work with every day, the police officers, they all have them on their belt. Either on the opposite side, the guy yesterday I was working with, he carried it in the front. His sidearm is here, his taser's here. When you shoot that, and it has two little barbs come out on a wire, and it sticks into the skin, so it pierces the skin like two little harpoons. And then they squeeze the trigger, and then it sends, I think, 10,000 volts, and then all your muscles freeze. That's very, very effective for most people. Some people know how to defeat it. They'll just wipe it, or they'll twist immediately. And you'll see that in law enforcement videos all the time. These guys who have trained themselves that when they get tased, they want to keep fighting because they're bad guys. A smaller taser, like all of the gimmicky ones that I see advertised on Facebook, I haven't seen that many, but people send it to me. They don't seem as effective. Now, same thing with pepper spray. I would recommend pepper gel because it's going to come out as a stream, almost like a wasp spray, and the gel is going to coat them, and that's going to affect them, and it's going to be less likely to come back and get in your face. If you spray them, then that spray dissipates and goes everywhere, and then you can get it in your face. Guilty. Son says daughter bought a $200 case with the taser on it. You have to let me know, because I could be wrong. Maybe it's extremely effective. My sense is, like if someone were to send me a bunch of these things as a gift, and wanted me to review them, I'll tase myself and I'll tell you if it hurts as much as an actual taser, because I've been tasered in law enforcement. When you go through the academy, you have to, I was a Marine Corps policeman and we got tased, we tased each other. And that was a million years ago, but it's the same basic, same technology. And I'll tell, and I've been also shocked and by some big voltage, other things, and I'll tell you whether I think it's effective or not. Fear aspect, yeah, unless the robber is crazy or aggressive. And that's the real issue, is that a lot of these guys who are randomly slashing or attacking, what really happens, Stuart, it's good to see you. Yeah, Hard to Hurt tested the tasers. And yeah, so if you go to Mike, Icy Mike's channel, Hard to Hurt, he's done a lot of these breakdowns. A lot of other guys have too. Yeah, Adam's saying, there's a fear of all these things that come out. So if we're talking about just a street beef, after school fight, somebody who's not crazy, then you can scare them with a lot of things. My fear for you and for me and for others that I'm responsible for protecting is that you run into either somebody who's experienced as a criminal, an experienced predator, or a crazy person. And if they're mentally ill because they're on some kind of drugs that, a lot of the drugs that people take that are hallucinogens, the stuff they smoke is getting stronger and stronger, and the things that they get over the counter that are mislabeled inside the gas station that's too easy to get, some of those guys are taking things and it's altering their chemistry and they might be out of their mind. And if they are, you might not be able to, because they attack cops with knives knowing that in the end, they're gonna get shot. And if they're willing to do that and they're that crazy, then they're not gonna be afraid of your nunchucks, they're not gonna be afraid of your pepper spray. In my opinion, it could be totally right. And every situation is different, so there's no blanket response. My thought is, if you get a good pepper gel and you can spray it all over his face, that could at least slow him down. And if you had an actual taser that locks his muscles up, then that would be better than just having, a gimmicky taser that's going zzz, 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 and he thinks it's, and he's gonna be afraid of it. Because the first time you hit him with it and it doesn't really, it maybe hurts or buzzes him a little bit, or, locks him up a little bit, it's just not gonna be enough. You need something that's gonna be super effective. And this stick, if you take this stick and you're holding it like this and you crush his windpipe, he's gonna asphyxiate and die in so many seconds. And that's just a reality. And if you take this stick and you jam it so hard up his jaw, or you're holding it here and you're able to smash the knife out of his hand or break his hand or hit him along the top of his head or hit that nerve process, and mechanically he shuts down, that's a real thing. So whether he's crazy or not, he keeps coming. And you might have to strike over and over 5, 6, 7 times. If you're smashing him back and you're moving into his face and you're jamming down this way, then, you might be able to physically move him back using mechanical pressure and force where you've overcome whatever mental illness he's exhibiting by attacking you or whatever criminal belief. So, yeah, Stuart says drugs can't override the mechanical breakdown. So if you shut him down mechanically, then whatever's in his system is not going to be able to override that. If you strike the nerve correctly, if you hit him so hard that you knock him unconscious, his brain has to reset. If you take away his ability to breathe temporarily or permanently, and sometimes it could be enough just as a pattern interrupt. So they work themselves up, they're habitual offenders. And that's what you see, the guy in New York that they just got, who he stabbed 3 people, all 3 died horrifically. And he he did it all within a short period of time. And he had been arrested and released, spent no time in jail over and over again by a broken system, a broken legal system that allowed the people to be at great risk and protected him and allowed him to do his horrific things. And he just worked himself up, and he got feedback every time he did something horrible. They awarded him. Yeah, and Elias says it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable, but it's true. And we see it again and again and again and again and again. And so when you see that and you hear those alarm bells ringing, it might not ever happen to you statistically speaking. However, if you're concerned about it and you want to have some level of protection, you can learn how to fight with sticks. Your choice might be to carry a walking stick. Now you get 36 inches between you and him. And as he's coming at you with that long, kitchen knife, this might not feel safe enough. This is better than bare hands. And then, you're gonna enter his space and you're gonna close with and destroy. You're gonna do all the other things that we talk about in other videos on how to defend yourself. But if you were a beginner and you wanted to learn how to fight with a stick as a beginner for self-defense, then I wanted you to see some of these basic techniques. So practice those. You don't need to go to 10 weeks of a martial arts class or 6 years and get your black belt. You can pick up a stick and you can start practicing just striking the air, remembering the basics, keep it between you and him. Don't swing wide, always come off your shoulder if you're striking like this. Know 2 different ways to hold it. Learn what is your strongest strikes, what angles you can strike with, and then, teach yourself. Adam asked about taser knuckles, electric punches, stick more reliable. Same thing that I said before on the other thing. If you've got a guy, like the guy who was coming at him this week, or the one that I saw, one of the ones, because I've watched so many videos recently of people attacking cops with knives, and because they don't have body cameras, so that's why there's so much of that video. Almost every one of them, the cops will recoil, exposing all their vital organs. They'll move back, giving them distance for a full, powerful strike. The point is, they don't know what they're doing. They're handling it differently. They don't expect them ever to do that. They allow them to get too close in the first place. If you have knuckles that have a taser on them, and the guy's coming at you with intent to murder you, to take your life, your freedom, your dignity, and he's got a knife in his hand, which is his intent to kill you, to take away your life, and you're trying to hit him with these knuckles that go zzz, I don't think it's going to do much. I think I would personally rather have this, and I would be using it with 2 hands, and I would be closing the gap and smashing and trying to end him through his face with my stick, or his throat, or whatever is exposed. And then after I hit him, and if he's stumbling or whatever, and I can go and take hold of his hand with the knife and then strike him with that other elbow and try to finish him off. I want him unconscious as fast as I can. And you can do that with a stick. You can do it with your elbow. Your elbow is just a long stick, and it's got the entire force of your body coming behind it. So that's just my opinion. But I would like for you who are watching now and watching later, put in the comment section, what's your favorite stick? Because that's the theme of this series. What's your favorite stick to fight with? What sticks do you find in your environment? And what are your thoughts about that? What do you think about all of these other things that we see advertised for self-defense? Because everybody's afraid, and that's why there's so many people coming out, all this Chinese garbage flooding the Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok, and they're every kind of taser. It's a light cell phone case taser, it's brass knuckle tasers, and then of course they'll demonstrate. And in my opinion, it's all acting. But what do you think? And do you have an experience with it? And if you do, let me know from your experience, because I'm not always right. And I learned from you, and I learned from other people. And I could have this firmly held belief for a long time and then run into a different truth and say, you know what? I was wrong. I now have more information. I now have more experience. I have now learned something from someone else. But if you're serious at all about learning self-defense, the principles of self-defense that you can apply with any tool, any weapon, you've got to read Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. I saw Tony Blauer recently on another podcast. I hadn't seen him for a while. He's another one. Tony Blauer, he has the spear system. Excellent, fantastic. And he's more technique based. So he has the principles of self-defense and he has the techniques. So Tony Blauer is another one that you can seek out. Blauer is Bleur. And I'll put a link in the description to Tim Larkin's stuff and to Tony Blauer's stuff. You can go and check it out if you haven't seen it. Yeah, Joe Burnham brings up a good thing about, or a good point about the poor girl in, I think it was Georgia. Um, it was in the news recently. He was just convicted, got life in prison without parole. It took him 18 minutes. He fought with that poor little girl for 18 minutes. And for 18 minutes, it took 18 minutes before he was able to end her life. And yeah, Joe says she ran where Joe runs. Yeah, Indian clubs. You can fight with Indian clubs, Slapshot says. Absolutely. We'll train with Indian clubs tomorrow for our powerful strikes. But, you know, I just, you know, if that's your daughter, you know, one of the best pieces of advice I could tell to young women, I see them all the time, young women, old women, all these women who go out and run at night. And I know the response. It's like, I should be able to do that. Yes, you should. However, you know, that's when opportunists take the opportunity. So if you're going to do that, at least take one earbud out. Don't run with both earbuds. So get one out and put it in your pocket. This girl, she was ready. She did all the right things, except she could have had more self-defense tools with her. She could have taken a self-defense class where she can use her elbows and she can use her palm strikes, and she can learn the principles of self-defense from Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. It's called When Violence is the Answer. I'll put the link in the description. And she could learn how to use violence against him. And maybe with a little bit of training, she could have had a different outcome and she could have got away. She fought for 18 minutes. After 18 minutes, you know, after maybe the 10th minute of her fighting back, but having some idea of how to fight back, maybe she would have been able to put up enough of a fight, the right kind of fight, because she put up a hell of a fight for 18 minutes. And man, it just makes you angry and sick all at the same time. And keep her and her family in our prayers. But I'm just getting angrier thinking about that whole situation and how the media on one side has treated it and all that other stuff. But the reality is we all need to protect ourselves and our families and train and learn a little bit, learn the principles of self-defense, learn some basic techniques, learn how to fight with sticks, because there's sticks everywhere. And yeah, Joe says it does make us all angry. So Alita, great to see you. Thanks for everybody for being here. Alita, thanks for the super chat. Studer, as always, thank you so much. I really appreciate you and all the things that you do to support us. If you want to learn how to fight with a stick for beginners, for self-defense, this is a great way to start. The Okinawan or Japanese Tanbo, I sell these if you want one of mine. The link is in the description. Make your own if you want to. Buy a 36-inch dowel rod. I recommend 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches, but I have big hands. If your hands aren't as big, 1 inch is still very powerful. Cut it in half, sand it really well, soak it in mineral oil for a couple days, pull all that oil off with a clean rag, burnish it in. That means create some heat with your hand while you're rubbing, and it'll be extremely hard and heavy, so it'll hit a lot harder. Kimwell, thank you. Thanks for being here. True Human Experience, thank you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.